Hello and welcome to Creator Toolbox. This is a show where we help make sure that you have the tools you need to be an effective builder, administrator, and developer. Before we get started, let's do some introductions. We'll start with the only other person here who doesn't really need an intro, but we'll do it anyway.
Wow, what a setup. What a setup. Hey, my name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate at ServiceNow. Been here since 2010, was a customer for a couple before that, and history of computers and IT and development way back into the early 1980s. It is my pleasure to be here. We've got some fun stuff to show you that kept coming up in the, well, I'll save the topic after you do your introduction. I didn't want to, go ahead, Brad.
All right, my name's Brad Tilton, and I am a developer advocate with the developer program here at ServiceNow. I have been developing on this platform since 2008. I've been a customer, a partner, a trainer, and an employee. And I'm excited about today's show because it's a topic that I know like absolutely nothing about. I haven't actually touched it yet, so I'm excited for us to get some hands on it.
You will be surprised that this is like a familiar friend that we've seen around the platform that we're going to use it a different way. When I started digging in, I was like, really? Is that all? Okay. So if you, what we're talking about is report calculations or report function fields. And then suddenly the light bulb goes on and says, oh, I've seen that before. I may have even played with that before. So we were doing the Quebec rollouts and talking about it at developer meetups, and that slide kept coming up and saying, I haven't touched it yet, but I'm going to get to it. This was our chance to get to it. So we want to introduce you to another one of the features that came out in Quebec that I think you're going to find very helpful in the way that you build these functions and the way that you maintain them and expose them. And I'll do a couple of examples, and then we're going to do some exploring. This is not completely scripted. This is not completely demoed, but I wanted to set up a couple of success cases for you. And then we're going to go off the beaten path and explore some of our own and say, well, what about this? Or how about that? Or let's try this. So we're going to explore together and hope you can, happy that you're here to join us.
All right.
Do we have any announcements?
Good.
Brad, do we have any announcements to start in on before we get started?
That's a great question. Knowledge registration is live. If you haven't registered for Knowledge and you're also watching this, that shouldn't be a group of people that exists. So you should be registered for Knowledge if this is interesting to you, because we have so much more content at Knowledge. So that's the big one, I think. Anything else?
We've got an episode of Breakpoint tomorrow with Jason McKee about CreatorCon, what you'll be seeing and what's new, and it was a lot of fun. It's a great discussion. So Jason's always fun to have on the show. He's returning. We had him on last fall for the fall CreatorCon. This time he's going to be telling us about the one that's coming up in May. So stick with us for that. If you're not already subscribed, devlink.sn/break-point. I know that's a mouthful. devlink.sn breakpoint. Put some dots and dashes in there, you'll get it. All right, with that said, what do you say we get started on exploring function fields in reporting?
Let's do it.
Let me do a quick screen share.
All right.
In 3, 2, 1. There we go. Hopefully we can sync that up. Brad is pushing the buttons today.
We got it.
And I've got my PDI. And what I started building something out for another project for a charity contribution. So people would pledge some amounts. So here you can see Jason Roy has pledged 100 something, could be shekels, could be denarii, could be dollars. We don't know. It's 100 Tootsie Rolls, let's say. And ServiceNow, being the generous company that it is going to contribute and match that amount. So when we create a donation record or something else, we want to know what that total amount is in Tootsie Rolls. So furry friends, maybe it's dog treats, I don't know. But that doesn't matter. We're donating 100, and we'd like to make a simple calculation to just double that number. Now we could either add the number to itself or we could multiply times 2, but I'm going to jump over here to Reports, Create New. If you've gone through a basic sysadmin course, this should look pretty familiar. And let's call this donations, right? We'll get that from the pledge table, which sounds like I'm doing some housework now that I think about it. Not that I was promoting any particular kind of furniture polish. I never thought of it in that context before. Let's do next. And I'm going to stick with a list just to show you what's going on here. So this is your typical list. And when I go to next, on the configure section, notice that we have this configure function field. Woohoo! All right, I've still got choose columns, which is all the columns that I've already got in my table. But this configure function field says, hold on, you made some changes to the report. In order to calculate, we should save first, because I haven't saved anything yet. So this is being a good Brad on my shoulder saying, save often.
That's right.
I think you're going to always have that you're going to be labeled as the man who saves.
I just get too nervous.
So let's call this a donation field. And you're just giving it a label, how it's going to report on that, how it's going to show up on that report. Now, I've got lots of different return types in here. Dates, date, time, duration, percent, large whole number, true, false. Honestly, I haven't played with a lot of these. Let's explore those a little later in the show, but it gives you a little usage over here. Now, these are going to simply determine how that value is represented on the report. So if I say I want a whole number, because I had a whole number for the amount field on the report, I can then add an operation, and these should look familiar because they are the same thing you will get if you search the documentation on report on function fields. And we did a little bit of this in, I think it was live code just a week or so ago when we were putting together some things for the karaoke app. We introduced a function field into that. So you've got an add, subtract. Now, function fields happen at the database layer. We are taking advantage of database functions, so they're very fast. It's not like a business rule. The whole reason we want to use, wrong tab, use a function field is so that we don't have to maintain a separate field with a business rule or a flow or something that says, oh, the amount changed, therefore I must go and change either the calculation on a calculated field, or I need to go run a business rule to update this other field. It keeps it as its own distinct field running this function. Easier to maintain and performance driven. That's one thing we all need to be aware of when we're writing applications is where can I get those little fine tunings out of performance? And that's why function fields were created.
So did this table already have a function field on it and you're configuring that? Or
Nope.
Is this adding a new function field?
This is adding a new function field, and you kind of gave a hint at what we're doing. I thought this was creating something specific to reports. It is actually injecting a new field into the table. Okay. So that's the secret that got me a little while ago. So I am going to, let's just do a multiply. And you get this little function builder. This is what's going into the function part of my function field. So function fields are on the dictionary for that table. And if I cursor here, I already selected my operation, but I can start adding fields with this nice field picker. And I say, I want the amount. And ordinarily, if you want to multiply by 2, or you could put another field in here. You could say, I want the amount times number or whatever. But if you simply put a 2 in here, it says right here, function has returned an invalid result. Well, I'm not, ever since I was about 8 years old, I always multiplied times 2 and got a good result. Not sure what's going on there. So I discovered that put quotes around it and it's happy. Very unintuitive, but that's what works. So let's just quickly save that. Now that I've defined the function field, it doesn't automatically show up on the report. So I have to choose columns and looky there. There's my donation. I will put that on the report somewhere next to the amount would be nice. And you have to hit refresh. And this would be a good time to save too. So I can see 100 times 2, 20 times 2. This is checking out. It looks pretty good. That was easy. Multiply times 2. You could also do an add amount, comma, amount. Would have done the same thing.
Yeah, this is cool. You know, one of the pieces of feedback that I think we got around function fields when they came out were it's still, you know, this is really good functionality for somebody who maybe is not a developer and who is just looking to run some reports and do some,
Yep.
you know, they just want to change some things on the reports, similar to Excel, and you really had to give them almost, you know, some sort of delegated developer or admin access for them to be able to add the fields. And then they have to kind of know how the function field, you know, how the method names are working and all those things. So, you know, being able to do this with all the pickers in the front end is a nice way to enable more people to use these.
Definitely. That little builder window is going to help a lot of people. Okay, let me take it. Now, obviously, I could go to a single score. I can sum up the donations based and add a filter of status complete, whatever you want. Your reporting skills go beyond this, but that's the way to build a quick, simple function. If I go to configure another function, I can see I've got my other one listed here. Let's create one more. I have no imagination on this one, so I'm going to call it foo. And what I tried to do and failed miserably was tried to create a date field because I'd like to take the date and add, say, 30 days to it. Maybe we don't actually recognize the donation until 30 days after the pledge. And simply doing 30, of course, gives me an invalid result. Doing 30 here, is it adding 30 days, 30 minutes? I really don't know. It doesn't do a whole lot of date time operations other than day of week, which returns a number. I'm not sure how useful that would be on a report, but I'm still exploring some of these functions and some of these data types. But maybe another one would be, I also tried to put in some comparators. Let's just see what happens to foo when we save that. We save it, and let's put it on the, we'll do one more save just to be good. Let's put foo on the report next to donation and run. I always forget to run. Foo has no value in it. So it doesn't know how to add something to a date, or I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I should say, I don't know how to add something to a date. Here's another thing to watch for. Yes, thank you. Before you go into configure function field, save. Maybe we take foo and say we don't need that anymore. We've got a deactivate button down here that deactivates the function field. And it says, hang on, it's used in more than one report. Do you want to deactivate it anyway? I'm saying yes, I want to deactivate it. And I will show you in Studio what that did to my pledge table, not the line item table. Pledge table. I have, let's add the active field to my list layout somewhere. That'll be good. Foo is now active false. Donation is, oops, didn't mean to click in that, but okay, we'll show you this way too. Donation is active true. Why do I care? Well, here's what happens when you go back to the report and you say configure function field. Notice foo does not show up on the list because it's been deactivated. If you try to create another one called foo, let's make this one a whole number that is the length of the charity I'm donating to. I don't know why this would be useful, but hey. Oh, it created it because it's a different type. All right, that didn't work last time. It said, hey, you can't do that because there's already a field called foo. Interesting. Let's go see what happened on the table. We are clearly in uncharted waters today. Close that, refresh that, and I have a foo false. What did I just create?
What was the?
That's it. Oh, foo changed to a date.
Oh,
So it apparently, but it's still active false. All right, you're going to have to watch out for that. So if I choose columns, there's no foo. I can't choose it and go, wait, I just defined it. Did I not? Configure function field. You may get into this crazy place where you said, I just created a field called foo. It was a date. So watch that active field. If you deactivate something, it's still on the table, but it's not going to let you play with it. And sometimes it'll say, you already have a field called that. And you're like, no, I don't see it. Odds are you or somebody else created it and now it's inactive. So if you've got those people out there that are happily reporting reports and they change their mind and they start running into these situations, they may call you and you have to jump in the dictionary and say, what do you want me to do? Deactivate it or blow the old one away? I mean, reactivate it or blow the old one away. So if I said, this should have been a whole number. This is my old date field. I'm not sure what it did. Maybe I did something wrong. Let's try that again. Foo.
I don't know. I didn't catch it.
Foo, whole number, length of charity. Save. Function field successfully created. Configure function field. Doesn't show up. Studio.
Save.
Refresh. Huh. It didn't do anything. It didn't give a error either. That's even scarier.
Are there any errors in the
system log?
in the logs anywhere?
Let's find out. Don't know if this is related to me or not, but there are warnings. I'm not very good at stack traces. Have never been. Unparsable 2051. Unparsable 2051. Not sure what that means. This is probably every record it's trying to display that on.
Yeah.
Who knows? That may or may not be our issue. So keep an eye on that dictionary. It could get ugly. I can either, like I said, reactivate it or delete the column and do it again as a whole number. I'm going to take a different report just to show you we still have our donation function field defined here. But if we create a report on a different table, let's go back to reports, view, run, create new, and call this one line items with amount. I have another table out here called line item, kind of like a purchase request or any kind of thing that has line up as a quantity, a price, a SKU, and a description. Well, I would like to take quantity times price and make a new report column on it. So let's do this on table, line item, not gift item. Where'd it go? I didn't do this one yet. Charity line item. Next. List is fine. Next. Choose columns. Sure. Let's put these next to each other. That's good enough. I don't care. We're not out for production value here. Configure function field. Save and continue always. Notice donation doesn't show up. That is a function field on the other table. So it's not holding these in some sort of library where you can interchange them, because it wouldn't make sense if you said I wanted, say, amount times 2 when I don't have an amount. So let's create a new one. This one's going to be called, we got price, which is a unit price, and a quantity. Sure. We're going to go for a floating point number because the price is a floating point number or decimal. Does it give you? I never really understood the difference between decimal and floating point number, but I do know that decimals have an issue with Flow Designer.
Huh. I don't
So
think I
given
had
a choice,
that.
go with floating point. See, here's an example. Floating point, 10.1234567. Decimal. Okay, the decimal precision depends on what? Your localization settings. Okay.
2 decimal points. Floating
Whereas
point
this
is
one says
more than 2.
All right. Which may be handy if you're doing division, but I'm simply doing multiplication. Yeah, I was trying to set up a demo with Flow Designer, and my field was a decimal, and it wouldn't let me drag the data pill where I needed it to say, hey, is this greater than $100? I need to do a comparison. And it went, Now, maybe that's been addressed or not, but I've kind of been, what is that habit that you're taking when something doesn't work and you just stick with it when it does work?
Oh, yeah.
So let's do two fields. We'll say price times quantity, and that didn't work. Okay, it jammed them up next to each other. Wherever the cursor is, that's where your field is going to go. It says, this looks good. I could conceivably continue to go times price. Too many args pass for a multiply. Yeah. It will tell you. So that's a nice little builder. There are some of these operations like concat that you can put on an n number of these things. So I like the example, concat sysid dash number dash name, and you can just keep, if you wanted to make your own, not a display value, but some sort of part number based on some other fields, you can do that here with the concat. I did play around with that one. That's a very nice feature. So let's add our amount to the report. Put that over here somewhere. And hopefully it will do our math properly after we refresh. Come on, Chuck, stay with the game. Amount, 10.5, which is 1.05 times 10. 3906, 1752. Notice it's only giving us the amount of precision that we got. So the question becomes, can we change that? If you change the output, it doesn't let you change it later. Oh, bummer.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it is a data type, right, in the dictionary.
Yeah. And
changing data types on your dictionaries is not a good thing to do. There were a couple other things. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we do have a question about, can you create your own custom glide functions?
Not that I know. No. This is the library from the docs page. Add, subtract, multiply, divide, concat, date diff, day of week. What do we got? About 10 of these things? That is what we're going to get.
And then there's
very common ones.
Can we do multiple operations in the same?
That was one of my outstanding questions that I wanted to explore. I don't know. So
I think no, but we should try it.
Yeah, I didn't see any examples of it, but that doesn't mean you can't. We're going to try now. So let's take the amount and let's call this like discount. So I can either, before I create a new one, attempt one, we'll try to do this in one field. Attempt two, we'll take the output of one field and use it in another. How's that?
Yeah. And then
so let's configure this. So amount.
This would, if we did like I'm sure we can't run just like a JavaScript in there, right? Like instead of quantity.
I don't think so, because this is a function field. It's, well, I don't know. I think this part makes a lot of sense. It will tell us if the syntax is wrong. So let's do like another multiply on here. Multiply.
Dot walk field.
Multiply is not a supported function. Dot walk field. Quantity dot multiple not supported. Scripter and script. So it's
at least it's telling us.
Interesting. It's telling us some very interesting. Yeah, it's like anticipating what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Like if you tried to dot walk. Sorry, if one of those fields was a reference field and we tried to dot walk it, I wonder if it would give us an error.
An error?
Like if you were like dot walking
the employee field from the other one. Let's go do that. So let's do view run. Open up our donations. Configure function field. And let's create a new one called, I don't know why you would want to know the name of the length of somebody's name, but let's return a whole number of length. You can't dot walk in here. Notice it doesn't say show related fields. Dot name, dot walk field employee dot name not supported.
Interesting.
And I have to wonder if that's because of the way it's implemented at the database layer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice that it's telling us it's not supported and not just working on it.
Yeah. So let's go back to our other example. What were we working on? Line items with amount. I want to see, we obviously have a difficult time doing two glide function operations in one. So let's call another one discount amount. Make that a decimal just for fun. And let's do a multiply the amount. Does it recognize it? It doesn't recognize another function field. Oh, that's a bummer. What if we put it in anyway? Amount times 0.8. Little difficult to put two things together. That's what I wanted to explore.
Interesting. Yeah.
I haven't found a use for a true false either.
I was thinking about true false. So what if you had a field and you called it big spender, and it was if a certain, if the donation table, if the donation was greater than like 1,000, you return true. If not,
what function would you use to do that though?
Oh, that's a good question. Is there a greater than?
No, because it's all it's doing things to other things.
That's true.
So I thought of the same kind of thing. I said, all right, let's call this long name. Whoops, sorry. Not sure how that happened. Let's call this long name. And we'll return a true false, because I did try this before. Let's get rid of that and say our operation is the length of the description, is greater than 10. Ooh, I did not. Okay, it says the syntax is correct.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Let's see. My exploration the other day with trying operations was not that good. So we'll put in long name next to description, and it says, I think it came out as all false, false, false. False, 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 false. This is the longest one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That should be true. Did I count right? Yeah, I counted right.
You got it.
We could always change the function too to say 5. So I don't know if the expression was correct, but there's something else going on. There's still a few things about function fields that I'd like to see, but I don't know how to do it. Let's go back here. Maybe let's just try that. It says the syntax is correct.
Yeah.
Drew says he wants to try putting parentheses around them. Ooh,
I think
that's
he's
interesting.
trying to nest them, see if that works.
Okay. So it'd be multiply, and then in here, multiply price. We'll do 10, like that. Oh ho! It knows that.
Let's see.
Actually, let's go back to our discount. We want quantity in here. So price times quantity will give you an amount, and then like times 0.8, 0.8. You get a 20% discount. Ooh, it likes the syntax. Let's see. Ooh, yes, update it. Interesting.
Oh, nice.
I'm liking this better every minute. Okay, save just for fun. and run.
It
worked.
That worked.
It worked. 10 times 2 cents is 16, or times is 20, with a 20% discount. Drew,
Wow.
you get the special Mario
Extra
coin
points
today.
for Drew.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe he knew it before. He may be one step ahead of us on this one. So just to review, you can nest these. It just the first argument will be another function. Now, given that, I still don't know about the comparator that we do on like long name, if that helps us here. But it might also help you put together things like substring and position. Those often work together. Concat. Coalesce takes the number of comma-separated fields as input and returns the first non-empty value. I don't know if I like that name, coalesce, because we're dealing with import sets. But the rest of these, in day of week, what could you do with that? It returns 1 through 7, but it does offer you a second argument to say my week starts on Monday or my week starts on Sunday, which is very nice. Okay, so
yeah,
mathematically, this isn't too bad. I mean, you could do some easy stuff like on this line item report and say, here's how much you would have been charged, here's your discount, and the discount could come from another field. Obviously, you want to make that dynamic more than saying 0.8.
So Spandon had a question about who can do this, who can create function fields. I looked it up, and it looks like there is a function field admin role that you can give someone where they have the ability to create function fields.
Administering reports. Create a function field. Yep. Before you begin, role required. Admin. Function field admin. Each function field requires a label, return type, and definition. The definition consists of operating. All right. I think Drew is our hero today. Anything else you'd like to try, Brad?
Now you've got me thinking about the true false. How can
I know.
Possibly populate it? Maybe could we try returning a 1 or a 0? And you think that would, I don't know, that would be useful. I'm just trying to think of how we could actually return a true, since none of our operators.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because the definition of this thing did say a time field. Okay. It's a Boolean, active equals true or active equals false. I mean, what if active was already a Boolean field? Why would you do that? Let's go back to here.
I wonder if it's like maybe we're going to get some more functions in a future release, and it's just setting that up. I have no future knowledge of what's happening in this area.
Maybe you're right. Let's try this. Add 1 to something. What are we adding to? Let's add something that, here, add this to the quantity. Okay, we'll call this, long name is a stupid field name now, but we're going to add that and return a true false and set the quantity on some of these. Can you do list editing in a report? Yes, you can. Good. Run. Okay, so if the quantity was 0, we added 1, it is a 0 or a 1. Okay, that's important to note because at the database layer, Boolean true-false fields are stored as 0s and 1s. We know that when we do a glide record query and you do a get value on a Boolean field, you're going to get a 1 or a 0 as a string, which is really annoying. So I can't think of a use case for that one right now.
I can't either.
It makes me wonder if you could then chain some of these together. I don't see any way to do Boolean logic with ands and ors, though. Okay, these are
Yeah.
simple. These are quick. I don't know if we'll get more in the future. Haven't heard, but it'd be nice. So I don't have a whole lot more to say about that. They are what they are. We've played around. We learned a little bit. So I'm gonna finish the screen sharing, and we'll finish this one up.
All right.
And my screen went way over there for whatever reason. Zoom, you amaze me sometimes. There we go. So thank you very much for joining us and exploring, and absolutely to the chat for kicking in some ideas and contributions. That's why we love live streaming with this group.
Definitely.
If you can, join us on Tuesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern, or whatever that is in your time zone. And we will be here each Tuesday, except the last Tuesday of the month, which is now Tech Now Tuesday. So every Tuesday morning, you've got something to watch live. Join us. Anything else?
I think that's it for me. Thanks everybody for joining us. I learned about these function fields through reporting. I think this is going to be a great thing that you can kind of give out to some of the people that maybe aren't admins or developers in your organization, and help them, do some better reporting and get more value out of that. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. And we'll see you again on Friday for Live Coding Happy Hour.
See you soon, people.